We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now, this is a live show. We do take in all your questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp, the email address, or alternatively, give us a call 0203 515 0199, and inshallah, the Sheikh will be able to discuss and answer your question. I'm your host tonight, Mohsin Shah, and joining me is Sheikh Ali Ma'ash. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How are you doing this evening?
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Sheikhna, let's start with marriage and divorce. Now, what is the definition of raj'i, irrevocable divorce? What does that mean, raj'?
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. When this type of divorce being executed and performed, of course we've got different types of divorces. The raj'i divorce, it means that the husband can return to his wife while she is in her iddah, the period of iddah in which she must take when there's a divorce,
which is normally 3 months, isn't it?
3 months or 3 periods.
Okay.
على كل حال. So in this case, the man or the husband can return to his wife at any time in this time of the iddah without any aqd or new nikah contract.
Oh, interesting. Shaykhna, in the raj'i divorce, how can the husband return to his wife without a new aqd contract or nikah?
As I've said, he can return in this period of iddah. He can say something that, I want to return to what we were before.
Okay.
In the time of marriage, and he says something, and then of course he can join her and without any aqd be again the husband of this woman. Or he can actually do something, an act, touching her hand for example, or hugging, something that shows that he wants to return.
Okay.
He regretted the act of divorce. So without any aqd or nikah contract, in this raj'i particular type of the divorce, he can return to his wife.
Interesting. Inshallah, we could maybe have an episode on raj'i divorce and look at the actual details and implications and so forth, inshallah. Shaykhna, this is a live show. We do take questions, and we've got a question coming in from one of our viewers, which is, if a woman becomes junub during menstruation, can she perform ghusl al-janaba during those specific days? Can we have a fatwa from His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sheikh Wahid Khurasani?
His Eminence mentions that yes, she can have the ghusl for the janaba separately, but when she is clean from the monthly cycle, she's obliged to and wajib to do another ghusl for the hayd.
Okay.
So during this time in which she was in junub situation, she can do the ghusl, that's fine. But for by the end of this the monthly cycle, she needs to do the ghusl for the hayd.
Okay. So you're saying that the ghusl she can perform, she'll probably get thawaf for it and so forth. However, it doesn't replace the one that she has to perform once she comes off her menstrual cycle.
Exactly.
That one has to be performed straight away. Okay, excellent. That's sent. Sheikhna, here in the West, when it comes to clothing, different materials and so forth, some people like to wear leather, cotton and so forth. And with the labeling as well, sometimes it's not 100% of the material that they claim it to be. For example, they might have a shirt that says cotton, but it's actually 80%, 90% cotton, not 100 and so forth. When it comes to silk, now we can tell if a product is 100% or not, sometimes just by the price. Now, if there's an item which is silk, but we know this cannot be 100% silk because it's going for very cheap, there's no way this can be 100% silk. Are we allowed to purchase it? Are we allowed to wear it? Can we wear it for salah and so forth? Can we treat it as if it is not 100% silk? His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sistani, he has a fatwa. What does he say?
The Sayyid mentions that with a doubt, if there is a shak, doubt, that if this is a silk or not silk, pure or not a genuine silk, with the shak and doubt, it is permissible to wear this type of clothing, and the one can also perform salah with it, with no issue at all.
Okay. Sheikh, now a question coming in from one of our viewers, and that is it permissible to commit suicide?
Not at all. It is not permissible. The one should have hope in Allah Azza wa Jal, and to fear Allah's punishment and the adab, because the Quran states clearly, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the surah number 4, verse 29 to 30, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. And do not kill yourselves, for Allah is merciful towards you. Whoever does that out of hostility and wrongdoing, we will cast him into a fire. Killing yourself will end up into, na'udhu billah, the hellfire. You're not allowed to kill ourselves. It is Allah who will take care of the moment of death and the taking of the soul from the one, not us. We're not allowed to. We have many freedom of choices in terms of this dunya. We can do whatever we want, of course, in halal. But there are things which are haram and forbidden, and only Allah Azza wa Jal has the right to do so. One of them is the death. You cannot kill yourself or others. Otherwise, the hellfire would be waiting for that individual.
And if any of our viewers actually go through anything like that, please consult your GP or doctor or professional, because it is quite strife in our community and in all communities, especially amongst men. The suicide rate is ridiculously high, but there are methods and medical advice that you can seek to inshallah help you in that situation. Sheikhna, the next question is in regard to zakat. Now, in our community, are we allowed to elect someone that we can give all our zakat to this person, and they can spend it in the way that is given? However, what if this person doesn't actually spend it according to Islamic guidelines and so forth? Are we still obliged, or should we still give money to this person? His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, he has a fatwa. What is his opinion on this situation?
The Sayyid mentions that it is permissible to give your zakat or even khumus to the one who is trustworthy, who's been appointed to take the khumus and zakat. It's fine. If somebody we trust, let's say a rep of the marja', for example, the one we trust, to give him the zakat and khumus, that's fine. But the problem is, if you don't trust that individual and you just give it to him and he takes it away, for example, which happened with many people, sadly, then this payment of zakat would be invalid, which means you have to pay again. So you have to make sure that you give it to the right person, to the right body, in which they will deliver this zakat or even khumus to the marja', to the jurist, or to those who are in need of it. Let's say the poor people and so forth. So you have to make sure that the one who takes care of receiving the payments is trustworthy.
I see. Excellent. Sheikhna, one of the first episodes we ever did was actually on taqleed and the importance of taqleed and so forth. And then also, investigating and finding a marja to follow and to emulate. Now, what if I'm in a situation where, there are 4 or 5 maraja who are of equal knowledge, who have equal qualifications, equal experience? Am I allowed to just pick and choose any one of the 4 or 5 that I've got presented in front of me?
Basically, if they are equal in knowledge, then you go to the next stage as a mustahab precaution by choosing the most pious, the most righteous, the most awra, atqa in this case, the one who is considered to be more in terms of fearing God more than the others in somehow. على كل حال, we have, because the taqwa iman is darajat and levels, but in overall you have to go back to the experts if you can't identify which one to choose from. One of the criteria is that he must be a'lam, most knowledgeable than the others. then in this situation you have to go back and ask the hawza and the experts and the ulama who are in the hawza, for example, to see which one is most knowledgeable, because it's a complex process to find who is most knowledgeable. So difficult. So, I mean, you can find this by asking the experts, and you can start to taqleed from the one who you think is most convenient to you.
Ahsant, well said. Sheikhna, cremating the body sometimes is a religious custom of other faiths. Most famously, the Hindus cremate. In this country, sometimes even the Christians, they cremate their bodies and so forth. In an Islamic government, do the non-believers who live in an Islamic government, who have a tradition of cremating, are they allowed to cremate their bodies as per their religious custom?
Yes, it's permissible by taking the principle of enjoining them with what they enjoy themselves with. ألزموهم بما ألزموا به أنفسهم. So because that is in their aqidah, in their belief, then we can actually allow them to do so for themselves. So that should be fine for them to cremate their deaths in which it's haram in Islam. You have to bury them, even in some other religions as well. But in overall, we stick to their rules and belief in this situation.
I see. Shaykh, we're going to a short break. Join us after the break as we continue our discussion here on Ahkam SOS. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Now here on Ahkam SOS, we do take in all your questions. If you have any question on any topic, please send them in via the WhatsApp, the email address ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv, or alternatively give us a call 0203 515 0199. Inshallah, me and the Shaykh will be able to discuss and answer any of your questions and queries. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykhna.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shaykhna, if a graveyard is to be eradicated and the public view it no longer or consider it a cemetery, is it permissible to develop roads and buildings and such like on top of it?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, it is permissible if there's no respected shrine buried, let's say a prophet or Imam alayhi salam buried in that location, or even a pious individual, or even the ulama and scholars. So a place in which resembles one of the great personalities of Islam, for example. If it's just a normal graveyard, then of course the one is allowed. But always the one should refer back to the ulama, to the alim, and to the faqih to ask for the permission in this situation. So you shouldn't do it by yourself. You have to go and ask the permission from the alim, make sure that there's no issue with it.
I see. Excellent. Shaykh, now a question from one of our viewers. If an individual dies on the moon, is it permissible for the body to be buried on the moon or transported to Earth or another planet?
Yes, it's permissible. What is important that you have to bury this dead person inside the ground. Now, be it the ground of the land of moon or the land of earth. At the end of the day, you must bury that deceased individual inside the ground, and not to leave it on the ground or floating in the space, for example. You have to make sure that you bury this individual inside the ground.
Excellent. Inshallah, we'll have a Husseiniya there on the moon, inshallah, one day. Shaykhna, if a Muslim child is a discerning age, is it permissible for him to slaughter an animal?
Yes, and it is halal to consume that meat when the child actually slaughters this. Of course, according to the Shari'i procedures, by saying Bismillah with a sharp knife, and all the requirements of a halal meat slaughtering.
Speaking of slaughtering, when it comes to hunting, Shaykhna, if the hunter is hunting a prey and the prey died from the hunter's weapon, let's say the hunter maybe cut its leg or something like that, when it got to the body, the animal, the prey had already died from the bleeding and so forth, so he couldn't slaughter it in the halal way. Is that meat halal to consume or not?
You see, if the hunter uses the right weapon and the right means of hunting in the halal way, because you can actually use the weapon to hunt the animals that actually they are wild, such as the reindeer, for example, and
Yes.
such like, to hunt them, because you can't catch them like the sheep
Yeah.
and the cow in order to slaughter them properly. So you can hunt them, of course, by saying Bismillah and shooting and all the requirements for the halal hunting. If the hunter killed that animal, that's it, becomes halal. But if he reaches and the animal is still breathing, is still alive, he must immediately slaughter it towards the Qibla with the halal procedures. Otherwise, that animal's meat would be haram to consume.
I see.
If he left it until it dies without slaughtering.
I see. Sheikh, a question from one of our viewers, and that is, when the fish is received from a Muslim, can we assume that it is halal and there is no need for making queries about it?
Yes, it is halal. Usually the Muslims, when they do fishing, they would use the right means in terms of catching the fish from the sea or from the river, and placing that fish outside to die outside the water. So yes, from the Muslim that should be fine. There's no issue with it.
I think even with the non-Muslims, as long as they follow the guidelines, which is that the fish should not be dead in the water, it should be alive when taken out of water, even then it's halal to consume.
Of course, it depends. Sometimes some countries use, let's say, electric shock and explosive and so forth. So we have to be careful with it. We have to make sure that that region, that country doesn't use this type of weapons or tools to kill the fish inside the water.
Yeah, which is
in which we can't consume anymore.
Sheikh, another question I believe from one of our viewers, and that is it permissible to eat the pigeon and all its kinds and the sparrow and all its categories?
Yes, it is all halal to consume with all its categories. Yeah, that's fine.
Pigeon, quail, sparrow, I think there's loads of types. What about the other types, Sheikh? Now we have, the ones that have like claws, such as the falcon, the eagle, or the hawk. These ones are a bit more predatorial birds of prey.
No, it's forbidden to eat the mentioned birds. It's not allowed. They're actually, as you mentioned, they're actually wild birds. In other words, they hunt other birds and animals and they eat them. So they are actually meat eaters.
Yeah, carnivores. I see. Sheikhna, chicken soup. Now, if chicken soup is made from chicken, which isn't halal, but I'm not going to touch the meat or so forth. I'm just going to have the water, the soup bit. According to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sa'id Hakim, is this halal to consume?
The Sayyid mentions that it is not allowed to consume this chicken soup because, number one, the chicken is not halal. So you're actually eating unlawful soup, which has haram slaughtered chicken. And number two, the soup is najis and impure. So you're actually consuming najis.
Is it from the dead chicken's carcass? It's najis.
Exactly, yeah.
Ah, I see.
So you have to avoid it either way, so you can't consume it. And it's najis as well.
Sheikh, our final question coming in from one of our viewers, and it is, my question is it permissible to eat halal animal organs like the liver, the kidney and brain?
From the halal animals such as the sheep, the cow, chicken and so forth, they're all halal, of course. You can actually eat the liver, the kidney and the brain of the sheep. That should be fine. That's halal. But there are
I've got a list here of all that's haram to consume.
Yeah.
You have like blood, you have the male genitalia, the female genitalia, placenta, which is actually really strange. Not strange, but very common for animals to actually eat the placenta when they give birth. And also some human beings actually consider eating the placenta of their actual children when they're born and so forth. Apparently it's full of nutrients and so forth. Glands, the testicles, the pituitary gland, which is found in the brain, probably the thyroid gland as well, the spinal cord, which is from the nervous system going up and down the spine, the two yellow nerves also along the spinal cord, the spleen, the bladder, the urinary bladder, the pupil of the eye, and also material found in between the hooves of the animal. These are all unlawful to eat. Sheikhna, thank you so much for all your efforts and thank you for joining us. Also, to all the viewers, thank you for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If you have any questions you'd like to ask on any topic whatsoever, today we had a question in regards to burial on the moon. Any questions in regards to science, in regards to psychology, physiology, anything pertaining to Islamic law, it is our duty to give you your answers. Please contact us via the WhatsApp, the email address, or give us a call 0203 515 0199. If there's a particular marja you follow and you want an answer from a particular marja's office, we do have the contacts with the official offices and also the official representatives. We will find you your answer. Join us on Wednesday for another episode of Ahkam SOS, inshallah, 6:30 here on Imam Hussein TV3. Mubarak Sha'ban to everyone on the new holy month, and inshallah Ramadan will be close soon coming. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.